right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the criminal motions calendar for 1 p.m. on September 24th of 2024. I'm going to call the calendar. If you are represented by an attorney, your attorney will speak on your behalf, but I do need to know that you are here, so you may need to unmute your device. Otherwise, please keep your device muted until I have called your name and I'm dealing with your case. I see that we have Zoom user and iPhone. Not going to be able to help you unless I know who you are. So I need to see a first and last name. Zoom user, iPhone, anyone else who doesn't have their first and last name on the screen, I need you to adjust that for me. All right.
Oh, Miss Gatson. Yeah.
All righty. First name on the calendar is Brendan Samuel Haley. That's Miss Gatson's case.
Good afternoon, Judge. That should be a plea this afternoon.
All righty. Next is Treston Jameer Johnson.
This case, I believe, was continued. This is Attorney Miller's case. I believe this may have been continued due to her conflict.
Okay.
I'm actually, Judge, my conflict's resolved today.
Woo! Ms. Miller.
Good afternoon, Judge. Good to see you.
Good afternoon.
My conflict resolved this week. My client is in bench warrant status, Your Honor. I have been in contact with him. He knows he's in bench warrant status. We've asked him to come to court, but I believe he has another case in Clayton County that I do not represent him on, and he's in bench warrant for that as well.
Okay. Is he planning appearing? Has he indicated that he's coming either by video or not?
He has not indicated one way or the other. The last contact I had with him, I told him that he needed to be in court. He could not settle this with a plea in absentia, and that he did need to come to court and that he needed to turn himself in on the bench warrants because he's got more than one, and I have not had any response since then.
Okay, so he's aware of it. I believe because he has notice, we can go forward with the hearing. So we'll, at the appropriate time, we'll go ahead and do the motion to revoke. DeVarsity Darquez Smith.
Judge, Mr. Smith is present in the courtroom, and we have negotiated a plea that will resolve the case that is on today's calendar, as well as 3 other cases. So the case that he's taking a plea to will be 2024 CR 03384. The case on the solicitor filed a motion to revoke bond 22 CR 00951 will be null prost. In addition, 2023 CR 03743 would be null prost, and 2024 CR 03387 would be null prost based on my understanding of what's been offered.
All right, I'm sorry. Give me the other cases. So I got 2022 00951. That's going to be null prost.
Yes, Your Honor. That's the case on today's calendar.
All right, and the other 2 cases?
The next case that would be null prost would be 2023 CR 03743.
Okay.
And then 2024 CR 03387 would also be null prost.
Okay.
And then 2024 CR 03384, my client is going to enter a plea to pursuant to the state's offer. And Ms. Hagler, if I've misstated anything, please jump in.
All righty. So the next case is Vega, Juan Antonio Vega.
Judge, someone from the attorney's office is here.
All right. This is Mr. Leo's case.
Hello, Judge.
Hello.
I believe Mr. Ray Leol spoke yesterday with prosecutor. We cannot find Mr. Vega nowhere. He changed his phone number. His brother changed his cell phone also. And I spoke with his ex-wife, like 2 weeks ago, and she said that they were going through a divorce.
Okay, so, bench warrant bond forfeiture.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, and thank you all. So, the bench warrant will issue, and then if he's gonna come up on a bond forfeiture calendar. Also, but, we also have, so we have no clue as to whether he received notice
That's correct.
for the motion to revoke bond. But Mr. Lael's office received notice,
Right, Your Honor.
so we can go forward with the motion to revoke bond.
I don't know what to say. I'm not a lawyer. He's paralegal, so he just sent me here in case he show up, but
Well, how he gonna send a paralegal to show up?
no,
That's not even legally appropriate.
he sent a conflict, I believe, but he told me if Mr. Vega was show up, he was gonna come here.
When I was a young practicing attorney, I went to answer a calendar call in in Coweta County.
Okay,
And one of my now colleagues held me hostage until my attorney showed up, until my boss showed up to do the calendar call. She allowed me to get lunch, but I had to report back to court. And I remind her every time I see her at a conference that she held me hostage. Similar situation here. Mr. Lael, has he filed the conflict? Or is he just sending you to tell me he has a conflict and he thought just because Mr. Vega didn't show up, that I wouldn't be willing to go forward with the bond, the motion to revoke bond?
no, I believe he filed the conflict and also he spoke with
Do we have the conflict on file? No, that's not for you. That's for court staff. So if anybody can tell me we have a conflict on file, then I'm willing to give Mr. Lael a little bit of grace.
I didn't receive anything, Judge, but I'll recheck.
Okay, so we're gonna check for that. Have a seat for me, sir.
yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Charles Wise, Mr. Laguda.
Good afternoon, Judge.
Good afternoon.
Judge, I'll need to talk to him before I can make an announcement, Your Honor. He's in jail. If I can have a breakout room to talk to him, that'd be wonderful.
Okay, but if you have a breakout room with him, it's gonna be with the courtroom listening. You understand that?
Oh, then I don't want that because of some other circumstances, Your Honor.
Did
If
you
the
come
court can
see
give
him,
us-
Mr. Laguda?
Yes, Judge. I was in jail on Saturday to visit with him, and I waited 3 hours. I've never waited that long to see somebody before. Nobody brought him to me for 3 hours, Your Honor. So if we can have one more continuance, Judge, I'll really, really appreciate it.
If we what
If
now?
I can have, if we can have a short continuance, maybe till the next calendar, Judge, that'd be wonderful. I need to talk to him because of other circumstances going on with the case.
Did you file a conflict, Mr. Laguda?
Say that again, Judge, I lost you.
Did you file a conflict?
No, I'm here. No, I'm saying I will need to
But
talk to
if you're
him.
not here, you're not effective if you can't talk to your client and then I can't move forward with the case. So a conflict tells me that you're not gonna be able to move your case. You being here and telling me that you're not gonna be able to talk to your client and we're not gonna move your case is the same thing, except no conflict.
No, I
My
want
case
to
doesn't
talk
move.
No, Judge, I want to talk to him, but not in presence, or not in open court, you know.
Well, I get that, sir, but that is not really my concern. You had the opportunity to talk to him because this was on the prior trial calendar, if I remember correctly.
Judge, I just got on the case, but Judge, guess this, Judge, I was in Clayton County Jail for 3 hours on a Sunday. I don't know what else the court wants me to do. On a Sunday for 3 hours, and nobody brought him out to me.
So I'm not
You see what
sure.
I'm saying? So I
Not
did
sure
what
what you, so Mr. Laguda, let me just tell you, not sure how any of that is my problem. Sounds like a jail issue, a escalated to the next level issue, the judge is going to expect me to have had contact with my client, and that's a constitutional violation if you do not provide me with contact with my client, but not something I can do. Not something I can fix. Now, I've offered you the only alternative I have. If you want to talk to him in the courtroom, I'll be off the camera. Everyone else who is not in the courtroom will be off the camera, but that's the best I can do.
I'll take that, Judge. I didn't get that. I'll take that.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So that concludes the call of the calendar. Miss Gatson is ready on a plea for Haley. Mr. Haley? All right. Who's in the car with you, Mr. Haley? Unmute. Who's driving? Okay. All right, raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can put your hand down. You're before the court on state of Georgia versus Brendan Samuel Haley, 2022 CR 01164 for having a weapon under the age of 18. You are represented by attorney Natalie Gatson, who is here with you. Ms. Gatson, you've indicated that you and your client are ready for a plea on this case. What is your client plea to the sole offense on the calendar?
Judge, please repeat that question.
What is your client plea to the sole offense on the calendar?
Nolo.
By entering a plea of nolo, Mr. Haley, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, factual basis and recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. On or about October the 1st of 2021, pursuant to the probable cause affidavit by Officer J. Jackson, while walking in the state of Georgia on Wesley Drive and Coleman Drive, Officer Jackson observed the defendant in possession of a handgun while under the age of 18 years old. The defendant stated that he was holding the handgun for one of his friends. The defendant said that while walking to a house, a dog ran across the yard, chased after him, and that's when he removed the handgun from his pocket and shot the dog in the paw. At the time of the incident, the defendant was 17 years old, and this incident did occur in Clayton County, Georgia. Your Honor, for the case on the calendar, the state's offer is 12 months probation, a fine of $500 to be suspended, 40 hours of community service for the defendant to complete the gun safety course, and everything can terminate upon completion. Also, Your Honor, there is another case that the state will also be non-processing. It's not on the calendar, but I will give you that case number.
I did recall that he had another case. Go ahead.
Yes, Your Honor. So it's 2023 CR 01752. The state is going to non-process that case in exchange for the defendant's plea today.
All right. Ms. Gatson, anything on behalf of Mr. Haley?
Judge, we just ask that you accept the recommendation by the state.
All right. Mr. Haley, you know, we've been back and forth on this. You've been here a few times. And so hopefully you will think things through differently. Number one, you're costing your mama time and money. She's had to take time from whatever her activities are to come to court with you. She's had to hire Ms. Gatson to represent you, all because you doing stuff that you shouldn't do. Number one, 18 and under 18, you don't need a gun. What you need a gun for? Number two, you shot a dog. You discharging a weapon, you could have hit anybody. The bullet could have ricocheted and killed somebody. I just heard a case on the earlier calendar where this gentleman was carrying his own gun, legal carry, and somebody pulled his gun out of his holster and shot him to death. So, sir, you don't know nothing about guns, and you don't know nothing about gun safety. There is a small child in that car, and more small children either kill themselves or kill other people because they've come across a gun that wasn't properly stored. And so, Mr. Haley, you need to get it right. First of all, your mama doesn't deserve to have to go through this with you. And second of all, if you want to have a future that doesn't involve an orange jumpsuit, you got to start making some better decisions. What kind of phone you got, Miss?
A 14.
The what?
iPhone 14.
I blame your mama for that, because with all of this foolishness you're doing, I would have stripped you down. Everything you would have had would have come from Walmart, and you would have had to send smoke signals before you could talk to somebody. You got a phone that costs more than my phone, and I know I make more than you make. So, Mom, I'm talking to you. That's your mom driving, correct?
No, ma'am.
Who's driving?
My girlfriend.
And that's your baby in the back?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, help me, Lord Jesus. I'm going to take a moment because I'm going to need help. So it wasn't just enough for you to be out here on 2 cases. You had to go make a baby. Where you working, Mr. Haley?
UPS.
How long you been there?
For 2 years.
Okay, so these kind of cases will keep UPS from furthering your employment. You understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Don't make no more babies right now, Mr. Haley.
Okay.
Condoms are cheaper than child support or child care. I don't care if y'all in a relationship and that's your girlfriend. I don't care about any of that. What I care about is the baby and the fact that you have not shown yourself responsible. So now that you have a child, you need to establish a track record of being a responsible adult. And whoever you had a baby with, ma'am, I'm talking to you. Choose wisely who you have kids with. I'm just going to tell you, choose wisely. Because you had a baby with Mr. Haley while he had 2 cases pending. You had a bit more sense than he could have been in jail right now for both those cases. And you would have had no help with that baby. So please choose wisely who you out here procreating with. Because I see a lot of cases where everybody's mad on the back end. But ma'am, you chose that person. You chose this person to have a baby with. So I'm just going to tell you both, make good choices. That child's life depends on it. Yes, so Mr. Haley, I'm going to, thankful to Ms. Gatson for her work with you. I know if I'm fussing at you, she's fussed at you. I'm going to accept your plea on 2023 CR 01752. That's going to be a no pros for the court. And on this current case that you're taking the plea, that's 2022 CR 01164. That's going to be 12 months probation, a $500 fine. The fine will be suspended, 40 hours of community service. You're to take a gun safety course and not possess any guns until after completion of the gun safety course. And upon completion of your probation of the gun safety course and the 40 hours of community service, your probation will terminate. Mr. Haley, make good choices, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Don't have no more babies right now, Mr. Haley.
I won't.
Because, I mean, people say that, and then the next thing you know, she's probably pregnant right now.
No, she's not.
Condoms are cheaper than child support or child care. You already have one baby. If you don't know how much daycare costs, if you don't know how much it costs to have a child, especially a toddler, and let me tell you something else, Mr. Haley. Be a dad, a father, not a baby daddy. Be the person who's there when she's sick and needs somebody to hold her on their shoulder while she's coughing or doesn't feel good. Be the person that if she wakes up in the middle of the night, then, you can soothe her back to sleep. Be the person who knows where she is, when she is, what school she's in, make sure she's in the proper child restraint seat. Be that person. Don't just be somebody who drops off diapers from time to time. Be a father, a dad, not a baby daddy.
Yes, ma'am.
Because she will choose the type of person that she's with based on how you react.
Yes.
Okay? So if you're not a good man, she's not going to be with a good man.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay?
All right.
All right. So at this point, sir, I'm going to put you in a breakout room with probation. They're going to explain everything that you need to do for probation. The quickest way to lose your job and get rearrested is to fail to appear for your probation reports. If you fail to come to probation reports, that's the quickest way to get rearrested. Are we clear?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so I'm going to put you in a breakout room with Ms. James. Ms. James is our probation expert. She's going to answer any questions that you might have about probation. Ask any questions specifically. In fact, if it involves travel, transportation, your work hours, anything like that, that you may need to have clarified for you, then ask those questions. Do you understand?
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to put you in the breakout room. You do not have to come back to this room. Once you are finished, you just complete your probation as directed.
Okay. Thank you so much.
All right. Make good choices.
I will.
Thank you, Judge.
Right. Thank you, Ms. Gatson.
May I be excused?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Bye. Ooh, Lord. All right. So, Smith, we ready on Smith?
Yes, Judge, we are ready on Smith. And Ms. Hagler, well, everything I had announced was correct as far as the null process and the pleas. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, good.
All right. So, Mr. Smith, you're before the court on 2022 CR 00951 for Diversity DeQuez Smith. My understanding is this case, along with 2023 CR 0374843, that's 2023 CR 03743 and 2024 CR 03387. Those three cases named will be null prossed in their entirety under an agreement between your attorney and the state. The remaining case is 2024 CR 03384. I don't have that listed on my calendar, so I don't know what that case entails. So somebody fill me in on what charges are on that case.
Yes, Ron, that is a theft by receiving stolen property.
All right. What does your client plead to theft by receiving?
Guilty, Your Honor.
By entering a plea of guilty to theft by receiving, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And Mr. Smith, by entering this plea, the plea of nolo or guilty could affect your immigration status if you are not a United States citizen. Do you understand all of these rights?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Factual basis, please, and recommendation.
Yes, Your Honor. On or about July 8th of 2023, Officer D. Montano responded to 521 Brinston Boulevard, Ellerwood, Georgia, Clayton County, regarding the theft of two black blowers that had been stolen.
Two black what?
Blowers, BLOWERS, blowers.
I think leaf blowers, Judge.
Oh, okay.
When the officer arrived on the scene, he made contact with the complainant, Mark Talinsky, who stated that earlier that morning, his two gas-powered blowers were stolen from his work truck. According to Mark Talinsky, he stated that his workers observed a black male take the two blowers out of the truck and get into a black pickup truck. Your Honor, at that time, while canvassing the area with Mark Talinsky, the officer did spot a black male, the defendant standing before you, carrying a STIHL gas-powered blower, which matched the description that was provided by the victim, Mark Talinsky. Your Honor, at this time, the state's offer is going to be a fine of $400, and the defendant is to not have any contact with the victim.
All right, Mr. Lynch.
Your Honor, we would let the court accept the negotiated plea in this case.
Yes, Mr. Laguda, that's fine. Yeah, Mr. Smith, I feel like I'm failing you because I feel like I should be giving you plenty of time on all these cases because you don't get that you just can't keep racking up offenses like it's nothing. Like the court is something to play with. Like people's lives are something to play with. But the fact that that man didn't have the ability to do his job because two of his two pieces of essential equipment had been stolen, that means you're taking food out of his mouth. That means you're taking food out of the mouths of his children and the people who work for him. All because you too lazy and trifling to get your own job and do what you need to do. I don't care. Mr. Lynch can tell you, well, I just need you to be calm and stand there and take it. I don't care what you do, really. Act up and you'll get another charge. But what I'm telling you is it's past time for you doing stupid stuff. It's past time. You got 4 cases in front of me. It's like you were just racking them up. Oh, it's time to get another case in front of Judge Hayward. Time to get another case in front of Judge Hayward. When you going to get your life together, sir? Let's ask that question. How old are you?
32.
You old for this kind of foolishness. This is kid stuff. This is 19, 20, 22, 23, where I'm stupid and goofy and I don't know what I'm doing and I haven't grown into myself yet. But you in your 30s, where you're supposed to be establishing yourself as a man, not somebody who's always getting over on somebody. Imagine if you had a job, you owned a business, and somebody took the essential equipment for your business, and you couldn't work and you couldn't earn a living, and money that you anticipated coming into your pocket, they took from you. Imagine that. But instead, you out here, well, I don't care what happens to somebody else. I'm gonna rack up my accounts. It's horrible. That's not what men do. That's what little boys do. They take from other people. They play with other people's livelihood. They rack up criminal charges like it's nothing. And now they're asking me to go ahead and give you a $400 fine, and you're to have no contact with the individual whose property was taken. And they're null pros in these 3 other cases, one of which was a battery case. I feel like something is wrong. Maybe I'm not doing something. You should have had a motion to revoke bond as soon as you got the second case. We should have snatched your bond, and that would have prevented you from having the 3rd and the 4th case. That man would probably still have his property. So here's the thing, Mr. Smith, and you have a very recognizable name, Mr. DeVarsity Smith. The next time a misdemeanor is committed in Clayton County and it has your name on it, guess who you're gonna see? Me. And I will remember you. You can ask anybody who works with me. I've been doing this for 10 years. And if I text the clerk and say, hey, haven't I seen this person before? And they come back with, yeah, Judge, they were here 6 years ago, 7 years ago. I will remember. So, Mr. Smith, this is your opportunity to straighten up and fly right. Okay?
ma'am.
Can you start making some better choices for your life?
I can, Your Honor.
Do you have kids?
Yes, ma'am. 2 boys.
Oh, my Lord. So you raising them to come into the system is what you tell them. You want to see them in an orange jumpsuit right about the time I'm ready to retire, is what you're saying.
I don't. No, ma'am.
Okay, but it's okay for you to commit crimes and be out here wilding, but you are acting like you want to raise your children, your 2 boys, to be stand-up men. Because kids don't do what you tell them. They do what you show them. So you showing them, yeah, it's all right to be out here hitting a lick, as opposed to showing them what a man looks like. Somebody who holds down a job, provides for their children, make sure they have, men take their kids on vacation. They're there when the kids are sick. They're there to go to the school conferences. That's dad behavior, not baby daddy behavior. You can't do dad behavior if you in and out of jail, if you picking up charges left and right. If the next time I see you, I'm gonna revoke the balance of whatever time you got because you playing with me. We clear? How old are your sons?
7 and 8.
How are they doing in school?
A good boy. On the roll.
Have you met their teachers? That's a no, because you're not an involved dad. So the only reason they're good boys is because their mom is making them a good boy. You out here thumping your chest about how you got sons. Ooh, I got sons. But you're not out here making sure those sons grow up to be men, because you're not participating. You're a baby daddy. You're not a dad. You're not the person that if something happens, the school's gonna call. You're probably not even on the emergency contact list. So, sir, condoms are cheaper than child support or child care. So before you have another child, remember that. And second of all, stop bringing kids into the world that you just gonna have a passing glance at them. You're gonna catch a glimpse of them every now and again, and you're gonna take credit for what their mama is doing for them. I love the stories about the dad who, he's sitting in a bar talking about, yeah, that's my son. That running back is my son. Or, yeah, that doctor who, was at the hospital performed that surgery, that's my son. And you had nothing to do with it. Not one thing other than you didn't use a condom one night. So if you're going to have good boys, if they're going to continue to be good until they become men, you're going to have to change. And if you can't have respect for their mother and treat her with respect and make sure she has what she needs to help them financially and emotionally, then they're going to remember how you treated their mom. We're clear?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so think about these things when you're paying this $400 fine. Think about how when you take from somebody else, you deprive their children of livelihood. Think about how you would feel if somebody was taking food out of your children's mouths. Well, in fact, think about it. Think about what you're contributing to your children. Are you a dad or are you a baby daddy? Are you financially supporting them? Are you emotionally supporting them? Do their teachers know you? If something happened at the school and they couldn't reach the mom, you gonna be the next call? My husband, he's the first call. Because I might be in court. He is the first call. He's out there on the football field with them because they're playing youth football. He's out there giving the benefit of his experience because he's been trained as a coach. So he's out making sure. But you just being a baby daddy, racking up charges at 32 years old. Get it together, man. We got enough of people who being baby daddies in the world. Let's be dads.
Yes, ma'am.
Get it together. All right. So I'm going to accept your plea. So does this come probation or just a $400 fine and 60 days to pay? What's going on with that?
Judge, my understanding was just a $400 fine and 60 days to pay. That was my interpretation.
All right, so, Mr. Smith, Mr. Lynch and Ms. Hagler, this is sufficient, but I know that, unless you take my words to heart, you'll be back and I'll be waiting. So, $400 fine, excuse me, that's gonna be about $600 with the surcharges. And you're to have no contact with the with the victim in this case. You'll have 60 days in which to pay the fines and fees. The no contact provision will be for the remainder of the 12 months. All right.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right.
There's one issue, Ms. Hagler, I believe there's a witness, that you may have subpoenaed for the motion to revoke, in the courtroom. I'm just trying to see whether or not y'all need to have contact with her if she's excused.
Yes, the witness can be excused. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
All right. Thank you, Your Honor. May Lister and Holt be excused? I believe this is the only matter we have on the calendar. Thank you very much, Your Honor.
Thank you.
All right. So Mr. Laguda said he's on his way so he can talk to his client. Ms. Miller, do you have an announcement on yours? Or are you ready to go forward with the motion to revoke bond?
He's not here, so I mean, we're ready to go forward on that.
All right.
Well, Your Honor, because the state did receive information that Ms. Miller had a conflict, we're trying to get the officer on. We're not having any success. So we just ask that this case, we can reset it to October the 8th, since we do know today that her conflicts have been resolved. But again, we were told that she had conflicts, so we didn't actually prepare to go forward on this case today. But we can reset it to October the 8th.
Okay, that, all right. All right, so the court is gonna issue a bench warrant bond forfeiture for Mr. Johnson.
Thank you, Your Honor.
The motion to revoke will be continued. It may not be October 8th because we got a lot of stuff on that calendar, but we'll send notice.
Okay, thank you, Judge.
And Your Honor, he is
All
in
right.
court status in this courtroom and I believe Judge Scott's courtroom upstairs. So.
Oh, yeah, well, he'll run up on somebody eventually.
Yes, Your Honor. That's all I have, if I may be excused today.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. All right, we have a bench warrant bond forfeiture for Vega. Mr. Lael is on a conflict. We're gonna move the motion to revoke bond to another calendar. We'll send notice. Mr. Vega, however, will have the outstanding bench warrant bond forfeiture. And on the Wise case, we're just waiting for Mr. Laguda to come into the building.
Okay. And the officer is already on that case if it needs to proceed forward.
Okay, that's fine.
Thank you.
All right, so I'll be back as soon as Mr. Laguda is here, and service from Mr. Lael's from Mr. Lael's office. I'm going to release you at this time. Just please communicate to Mr. Lael that he'll receive notice about the motion to revoke bond, and that the bench warrant bond forfeiture has been issued. All right, thank you, and tell him don't send somebody who can't make a decision or not, in no reflection on you, because paralegals are an essential function of any lawyer's office. But when you come to answer a calendar, I expect it to be somebody who is barred and can make some decisions or make some determinations in representing representing a defendant. Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right, I'll be back.
Your Honor.
Yes, Deputy.
What's going on with Mr. Wise?
Mr. Wise is waiting for his attorney, Mr. Laguda. So as soon as his attorney gets here, he said he was about 10 minutes out, then we will move forward with Mr. Wise.
He's coming to the courtroom?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
What you did was. Fifty-seven pages of this report. You have also maybe just there's a number that I have. 644. I heard that number today. I let it go off. On the second floor where the traffic. What was the traffic? Yeah, you just go to second floor where they take traffic. It's like that was a witness and they said it was for that motion. I don't know what they're gonna do, but you're a witness, but I asked if they did do I give you, so all the paperwork is mine, except for you are gonna do the honors of scanning those in. Here's your kid. There was some funny business going on. What is real issues. I told her that I thought, I was like, is the offer this because it is? Do that offer this is what it is. I'm like, well, why not? I think we can assume it's in his best interest to take that, right? You know? Oh, did you have that certain page? Okay. We're out.
All right, y'all.
See you next week. Sorry, I couldn't get us out.
You in there waiting on you. Yes. Introducing yourself.
Deputy Flippin, when Mr. Laguda's finished speaking with his attorney, with his client, then we'll move forward, and that should be the last case, okay?
I'm clear, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
Your Honor. Judge Hayward.
Deputy Flippin, is he done?
Yeah, can you put the courtroom and Attorney Hagler in the breakout room? You want to speak to her.
Oh, okay, no problem. Thank you. The courtroom, okay, there.
And Your Honor, whenever you're ready, we have a non-negotiated plea on Wise.
One moment, thank you.
You're welcome. Mhm.
Your Honor, we're ready.
Where does it stand? Does it matter? What's it?
Judge Hayward, we're ready.
She said to give her a few minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry, my apologies.
Yeah, no worries. Mhm.
When was the last time? To between and now, nothing. There's the court. No, the court.
All right, Mr. Laguda, you're ready for a non-negotiated plea on Mr. Charles Wise, is that correct?
That's correct, George.
Mr. Wise, raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true. All right. Mr. Wise, you're before the court on State of Georgia versus Charles Wise for sexual battery, case 2022 CR 03454 for Mr. Sam. Mr. Sam Laguda is your attorney. Mr. Laguda, what is your client plea to the offense before the court?
Nolo, George, nolo plea.
All right. By entering a plea of nolo, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And Mr. Wise, if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things, sir?
I do.
All right, factual basis and recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. On or about April the 5th of 2021, Officer K. McCall responded to 4599 Richards Road, Conley, Georgia, 30228, Clayton County, in reference to a disturbance call. Upon arrival, he met with the victim, Miss Chiquita, Chiquita McCoy. Miss McCoy stated that on that date, she was invited by the defendant to his residence. Ms. McCoy stated that she just met the defendant and came to his residence to watch the game. Once the victim arrived at the residence, the defendant started providing her alcohol and placed $40 inside of her purse. The victim stated that she thought it was the gift, as she never asked money from him before. The defendant started to kiss her on the neck. He also started to touch her breast and her buttocks. She pushed the defendant off of her and told the defendant to stop touching her. At that time, the defendant pulled her closer to him and began to kiss her again. At that point, the victim, Ms. McCoy, slapped him on the face with the open hand to stop the defendant because she thought that he was actually going to rape her. According to the police report, the defendant took the $40 back from her. Ms. McCoy told the defendant that she did not care about the money. At that point, the defendant grabbed a black and silver handgun and stated, "Bitch, I'll kill you." Afterwards, Ms. McCoy left the residence and called the police. When the officer arrived on the scene, he did speak to the defendant. The defendant did admit that he did fondle Ms. McCoy by touching her buttocks with his hand and kissing her on the neck. At that point, the defendant was arrested for sexual battery. Your Honor, at this time, the state is, this is a non-negotiated plea because the state is requesting the defendant to plead guilty as opposed to NOLO based on the facts of the case. So we are not in agreement of the NOLO, but we are asking that he be found guilty. And then the offer is 12 months to serve, community time served, as the defendant has been incarcerated since April of 2021. And those are the facts of the case, Your Honor.
He's been in the Clayton County Jail since April of 2021.
Yes, Your Honor, based on what I saw in the system.
And he has other charges, other cases pending, correct?
Correct.
Cases that are not on this level of court.
Correct. One of those cases was the motion to revoke bond, which was filed. So,
All right, now, Mr. Laguda.
Thank you, Judge. One important thing that the state left out in the story or in the statement is this, that the police, as a matter of fact, when it got to the scene, it did a search for any kind of weapon and it did not discover any. Did not find any weapons on the scene. It did not find any weapon on Mr. Wise. It transported him from the location he arrested him at to the jail. It did the search of his vehicle. Upon arrival at the jail, it did not find any weapon as well. But having said that, Judge, the state is correct to the extent that Mr. Wise is being incarcerated for a reasonable period of time due to some other circumstances. But he's accepting responsibility for his action. Because of that, he's accepting responsibility. And we're asking this court to accept the NOLO plea with 12 months and for credit for the time he has spent in jail. So we're asking the court, he's 71 years old. I believe he has some history. I don't have his GCIC or NCIC with me. But upon information and belief, George, the last time he was in contact before now with the criminal system was 1993. and I believe that was in the state of Alabama. And that was not a violent offense, to my understanding. And we are asking the court to consider him for a nolo. And of course, he has done his time. It's not like, he's not being punished for what he allegedly might have done. But because of circumstances, he wants to accept responsibility and resolve this so he can concentrate on what's going on upstairs. So
Okay.
no plea, 12 months. And
Here's my, Mr. Labuda, here's my question. So you made a big point of telling me that there were no weapons.
at the location, Judge, correct.
Okay, so I'm sorry, but I'm not sure how that mitigates or militates for your client. Like, what is the absence of a weapon in this situation? Did I miss something in the recitation?
No, Judge. I just want the court to know that there were some other things mentioned in the report that was left out. I just want to, I think there was something, the state mentioned, so if I missed it, Judge, I think the state mentioned something about a weapon. So
Okay.
that's why I just thought I should let the court know that.
Okay, so yeah, so I'm sorry, and maybe I missed something, because I was writing while I was listening. So I only heard the allegations of a sexual battery.
That's correct, but I think the state mentioned something about a weapon, that the alleged victim said, there was a weapon or something, but the officer really looked everywhere and he did not find anything like that, Judge.
Okay, so, all right, yeah, because that was a weapon wasn't on my radar. And you're asking for a NOLO plea. Y'all are both essentially asking for a credit for time served, but you're asking for a NOLO plea, and the state is stating they object to that, and they're asking for a guilty plea.
Yes, Judge. I mean, it's eligible for it. He has never used NOLO for this kind of offense, not in the last 5 years that I'm aware of, or any time either. So I think it's within the purview of the court. The court has the discretion to grant him the NOLO plea in this case, Judge. And that's what we're asking this court to do.
Well, his most recent offense was in 2022, which is why the motion to revoke bond was filed. So that would be within the last 5 years that he has received a new offense.
Okay, and that's a felony?
Yes, Your Honor.
Was it of a violent nature?
Yes, Your Honor. Malice, murder, possession of a firearm, division of a felony, aggravated assault with deadly weapon, and possession of a firearm by convicted felon. And it was true build also.
Well, Judge, I understand. You know the statute better than I do, Your Honor. You do. But we cannot.
Yeah, he can't use a NOLO for that.
What's that, sir?
Okay.
I mean, subsequent arrest cannot be used as.
I got you.
Yes.
All right. So, based on the amount of time that he spent, and the fact that I'm not hearing from the victim, it's not that I don't consider what the factual allegations are legitimate, but I do leave room open for the fact that Mr. Wise could accept that the state has those facts that could be used against him, but also that he could be not contesting those facts and not wanting to enter a plea of guilty. He's eligible to use a NOLO plea because he has not used it for the same or similar offense in the last 5 years, and it is unlikely that he'll be using a NOLO plea before the court for the existing felonies. So the court will accept a NOLO plea because he's served a lot of time for this, even though the reason he was in jail was not for this particular offense. So the court is going to accept the NOLO. I'll accept your time served since when was it? 2021, September of 2020? No, I'm sorry, April of 2021.
Yes,
I'll accept 12 months of time served from April of 2021. And there is no balance, but any balance on that would be suspended. as long as he has no new violations of the laws of the state of Georgia. All right,
Very well.
so,
Thank you.
Mr. Wise,
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
not sure what's going on, sir, but the last thing you want to do is spend your golden years in a prison facility.
Mhm.
That's not a good thing. It is not on any level the equivalent of a retirement community. That is a hard thing to have hanging over you. So I just say, the choices you make put you in a certain space. And if things work out in your favor on those felonies, please remember that it's the choices that you make that will determine where you spend your golden years, okay? All right, you can go back with the sheriff's office, and you're to have no contact, in addition to the sentence, you're to have no contact with Shakita McCoy. And my understanding was the residence was Mr. Wise's residence,
Yes,
correct?
boss, that's from the report it was.
Okay, all right.
Correct, Judge.
Thank you, Judge. That concludes my business,
Thank you,
Judge.
Mr. Laguda, for coming down. And at this point, that concludes the court's calendar and the court is adjourned.
Anything for the court, I'll do.